The Magic Watering Can by Enid Blyton. Tweaky was a lazy little pixie who yawned all day long. He always left everything till the last possible moment, and he was always putting off till the next day the things he ought to do at once. But there was one thing he could see he really did have to do, and that was he would certainly have to water his garden, or he was going to lose all his lettuces, his peas, and his carrots. The weather had been very hot and dry, and Tweaky's garden looked like a dust heap. His lettuces were drooping, his peas were turning brown, and his carrots were so tiny they were not worth bothering eating. "Bother," said Tweaky, looking at his dry garden. "I suppose I must water today, but what a nuisance it is, to be sure. How I hate carrying a heavy watering can to and fro and to and fro. If only I had a spell I could put into my can which would make it water the whole garden by itself." Now no sooner had he thought that than an idea popped into his head. Why not go to Mother Lucy and ask her for a spell? She probably wouldn't give him one, but she might. So off he went 3 doors away to ask her. But she was out. There was no one in her little yellow cottage at all. Tweaky peeped inside the door and saw her neat kitchen with all its shelves and drawers, each one labelled. He tiptoed inside and read the labels. "Ha!" he said. "Just look at that! A spell for watering cans and hose pipes, taps and hot water jugs. That's just what I want." He looked around. No one could see him, so the naughty little pixie opened the drawer, took out one of the small blue spells that were neatly lying in rows there, and hurriedly shut the drawer again. He ran out and went back to his cottage. He looked at the spell. It was like a small lump of sugar, but blue instead of white. He knew exactly what to do with it. He fetched his can, filled it half full of water, popped the blue lump of sugar into it, and shook it well, saying, "Water, water, pour without stopping." Then he took the can to his lettuce bed and tipped it up to water with it. He let go of the handle, and the can stayed all by itself in the air, watering steadily, moving along the row of lettuces slowly as it did so. It was wonderful to see. It never seemed to get empty. There seemed to be a marvellous amount of water in it, and Tweaky knew it would never stop so long as the spell was in the can. "Now I shall just sit down in my garden chair and have a nice lazy read," said Tweaky to himself. "That can is going to do all my work for me." So he sat down in his chair and began to read his book. But the sun was hot, and Tweaky began to yawn, and soon he was fast asleep. The watering can went on steadily with its work, and a splish-splash sound was heard for a long time. The can watered the lettuces, the carrots and the peas. Then it watered the patch of grass. Then it moved to the little gravel path and watered that so thoroughly that soon it turned into a running river. Tweaky slept soundly. The can went inside the cottage and began to water the pot plants there. Then there really was nothing else for it to do, so it began to water the things it shouldn't. It watered the kitchen fire and put it out with a sizzle. It watered Tweaky's bed and made it soaking wet. It poured streams of water over his dining table, which was still littered with dirty dishes. Goodness, what a mess it made! Then it filled the waste paper basket full of water and drenched all the cushions on the chairs. Gracious me, that watering can had a wonderful time, I can tell you. Now, after some time, Tweaky woke up and remembered the can. He looked round to see where it was. He saw the soaked gravel path, which still looked like a stream, and he felt cross. Wherever was that can? Then he heard a noise of splashing inside his cottage, and he jumped up in a flash. Surely that wicked watering can hadn't dared to go inside his cottage. He rushed indoors, and oh, what a sight he saw! Everything was running with water. His fire was out, and the can was just watering Tweaky's nice new suit. Tweaky rushed at the can, and it turned on him and watered him from head to foot. He caught hold of the handle and pulled the can to him. He put his hand into the water to get out the spell. But dear me, it had melted just like sugar. Tweaky groaned. He knew there was only one thing to do now. He must go and confess to Mother Lucy and ask her to stop the spell somehow. He carried the can to Mother Lucy's, and it poured water on his feet all the way. She was in, and she was most surprised to hear the tale that Tweaky sobbed out to her. "Everything's spoiled. My new suit, my cushions, my fire's out. My whole house is running with water. I fell asleep, you see. Oh, Mother Lucy, I know it was very wrong to borrow that spell when you were out, but please do forgive me and help me, for I have been well punished." Mother Lucy blew into the can and whispered a magic word. A piece of blue sugar slowly began to appear at the bottom of the water. She slipped it in her hand and took it out. At once the can stopped watering and stayed quite still. "I won't punish you any more," said Mother Lucy, who had a kind heart. "I am sure you are punished enough already by having a house that is soaking wet everywhere. You will have a busy time clearing everything up, Tweaky, and drying it. My, won't you have to work hard for a very long time. Well, it won't hurt you, for you have always been a lazy fellow. Perhaps this will teach you to be better in future." "Oh, it will," said poor Tweaky. And it certainly did. Tweaky isn't lazy any more, and he works hard every day. He has never borrowed anything again without asking either. And as for his watering can, he gave it away and bought a new one. He simply couldn't bear to see the old one sitting on the shelf, grinning at him.